guys, my name is Cheritaisrandom. I'm the most positive person you'll ever meet. I guarantee it.
And it's bubbly, 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 bubbly. We are singing to our love.
Today's video is going to be a get ready with me / rant video. This has to do with the new IASF World's Divisions that came out. If you guys don't know, IASF came out with a couple of new World's Divisions that are non-tumbling divisions, and this has created quite a stir within the cheerleading community, so I'm going to be voicing my personal opinions. If you guys are interested in this video, go ahead and keep watching. Before I get started, make sure you click subscribe for new content almost every Tuesday and Friday. Do not forget to link up with me on my social media. All of that information will be down below in the description box. So let's get started. Okay, so this is like a different kind of setup that you guys are probably not used to me being in, but I'm just going to be doing my makeup because I have places to go because Miles has a birthday party tomorrow, and yeah, I need to get ready for that. So, anywho, IASF came out with some World's Divisions that are non-tumbling, and there are a lot of people that are saying that this division does not belong at Worlds. And while I 1000% agree with it, there are a lot of people that are saying that this is a great opportunity to include other countries, because right now the United States dominates cheerleading, which is fine because I feel like competitive cheerleading is a relatively new sport and it has to start somewhere. So reasons why I have an issue with this division being at Worlds. Now, I don't want you guys to think that I have a problem with this division at all, because I don't. I'm definitely that type of person who I want everybody to be able to enjoy cheerleading, but competitive cheerleading is not for everybody, and Worlds is not for everybody. And unfortunately, the rest of the world just hasn't caught up yet, but it can happen if the governing body of cheerleading helps it become more globally competitive or whatever. So the reason why I don't think non-tumbling belongs at Worlds is because tumbling is a part of cheerleading. Now, can everybody tumble? No, not everybody can tumble, because if everybody could tumble, then it would be easy and everybody would be doing it. Okay, let me get my thoughts together because this video is going to be all over the place. Basically, what I'm trying to say is tumbling is a part of cheerleading, and all of the elements of cheer need to be at Worlds because Worlds is considered the most prestigious competition of cheerleading. But the way that they're treating it now, it's now just becoming another regular competition. A lot of people are saying, but the experience. If you want to experience Worlds, buy yourself a ticket, go to Orlando. You can buy yourself a hopper pass for pretty cheap, and that's how you can experience Worlds. Because Worlds is not an experience. Disney is an experience. Paris, France is an experience. Worlds is an opportunity. It's not an experience that anybody can just have. You don't hear people complaining and crying like, I want to go to the Super Bowl for the experience. I want to be able to experience the Super Bowl. Okay, then get on a football team. Go to college and play. Get, train so that you can go to the NFL. That's how you can go and be part of the Super Bowl or attend this, whatever. But even like going to the Super Bowl just to watch, I see that as an experience, but participating in it, that's not an experience. That's something that that's an accomplishment. That's something that you accomplished. It's not, well, I really want to do it because, it's something that I've had my heart set on, but I'm not good enough. I'm not a good enough quarterback. I'm not fast enough. I can't catch the ball. These are things that like you have to be able to do to be in the NFL. Just imagine if flag football had a Super Bowl. Just imagine because there are flag football leagues, but imagine that flag football had a Super Bowl, the same Super Bowl that the Philadelphia Eagles just won. The same Super Bowl that Tom Brady has won like 5 times. The same Super Bowl that all these teams have worked so hard for, just to say, oh, well, I could have just played flag football to get that same recognition. Because flag football, yes, it's football, but there's no tackling, you know, which is a big part of football, which is probably a hard part of football. Same, just like tumbling. Tumbling is not for everybody, I can tell you that. However, just because it's not for everybody doesn't mean that we need to make it an all-inclusive sport. That's just like everybody was so upset about that New Jersey school that was like everybody makes a team or nobody makes the team. Well, this is kind of the route that Worlds is going. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand that there are other countries that don't get to participate in Worlds because they don't have the resources. But that's where the governing body needs to make sure that these resources are available to everybody. If you look at, okay, and you guys are going to hear me compare a lot to gymnastics because that's really all I know. But if you look at USAG, if you go to their website, they have tons and tons of webinars, and they, you know, and it's accessible to anybody that wants to look it up. So if you want to learn how to train your gymnast to do a perfect layout, you can go to USAG and there's going to be a webinar, or there's going to be some kind of skill, like there's going to be something to where you can go and look to say, oh, this is how I do it. And that's what the other countries are lacking as far as cheerleading goes. And not only is it they're lacking like those resources, but they also don't have like the space and the room, and it's like, how come we can't, I feel like because USASF, you know, obviously that's the United States, how come USASF cannot help these international teams with buildings? How come, you know, USASF can't help these international teams with tumbling mats and equipment? Because if we want to make it to the Olympics, which I feel we are straying further and further away, if we want to make it to the Olympics, we need to make sure that all the countries have at least the same resources. Right now, if you go to USASF to even try to print out the rules, you can't do that unless you have a USASF login. Why? Why is that? I don't understand. Everybody should be able to go and look at these rules and say, oh, okay, this is allowed, this isn't allowed. You shouldn't have to have a USASF credential to look up rules for cheerleading. It's not like that in any other sport. We're the only sport that is lacking transparency when it comes to little things like that. Now, do I think that a non-tumbling division is the worst idea in the world? Not at all. I think it's a great thing, but I just don't think it belongs at Worlds, because Worlds is supposed to be the most prestigious competition there is out there. But like I mentioned before, it's just becoming another competition. And parents are getting frustrated because it's like your child is falling in love with this sport and you're teaching them that they have to work hard to get what they want. But now you're basically saying like, okay, well, you don't have to work as hard because you don't have to do tumbling. And here's how I feel about tumbling. You can teach anybody to stunt, but you cannot teach everybody to tumble. And people will say things, well, then that's not fair to people who can't naturally tumble. Okay, well, let me tell you this. I have never in my life kicked a soccer ball. Actually, I have, and I'm terrible at it. I am awful. But I want to experience FIFA, or whatever it's called. I want to experience it because I want to, because I love soccer. I don't really love soccer, but let's say I do. I love soccer, but I'm terrible at it, and I want to be able to experience it. But I can't run. I don't have good stamina. I can't kick a ball. I don't have hand-eye coordination or foot-eye coordination. I can't headbutt a ball. But because of the experience, I don't think it's fair that I'm not naturally talented at soccer, and even if I worked really hard, I would never make a world soccer team. So can't we just make it so that I mean, I really just want to experience FIFA once. What would you tell me? Go watch FIFA, Fufu, whatever it's called. Same with golf. I think because I'm not very good at golf, and I'm 33 years old and I'm just starting it, because that was another argument. People were saying, well, what about people that started cheerleading late? It's just part of what it is. I'm not saying they cannot do cheerleading, but they shouldn't be able to go to Worlds. So back to my golf analogy. Okay, so I'm 33 years old and I'm just now getting into golf. I really think that for Masters, they should make all of the holes par 15, because I know I could probably never do like a hole in one. So let's go ahead and just make it par 15. That way I can go to the Masters, because it's not fair to me that I started golfing late. Does that not sound ridiculous? Maybe it's just me. I don't know. And then people are saying, well, there's a lot of world champs that don't tumble or can't tumble or whatever. Okay? So does that mean we need to change the requirements to be on a world's team? Because once again, I'm going to go back to gymnastics. Yes, there are people who only, like Madison Koshin, she competed bars only in the Olympics, but that doesn't mean that she is not an elite level gymnast on vault, beam, and floor, because she is. She has to be in order to even get that opportunity to compete only bars at the Olympics. But here's the thing. This is for team finals. So yes, Madison only competed on bars. However, the rest of the team, they competed on beam and floor and vault, and their total scores made it so that they won the Olympics. So should we make it that to be on a world's team, you have to have level 5 everything, but whether it's used or not, because it is a team sport, whether it's used or not is going to determine what is put out on the floor. That's why I don't agree with just a non-tumbling division at Worlds, because you don't have all of the elements of cheerleading. Tumbling is a major element of cheer. Even let's say swimming. Now there's like only the ones that I can think of. There's the breaststroke, there's the backflip, backstroke, backflop, there's the butterfly, and there's freestyle. So there are people who are really good at freestyle, but that doesn't mean they can't do all of the other swimming techniques, whatever it's called. I bet you they can breaststroke better. I bet you they can breaststroke better than the average person, but just because they don't compete it in the Olympics doesn't mean they can't do it. They're probably phenomenal at it, but they're even better at freestyle. I feel like we're the only sport that's going backwards, because if you look at, okay, let's do another sport, track and field. Back in the, I don't know, like the 80s and 90s, the times that they were running were kind of seemed like impossible for, you know, other people to run. Like they run a 100-meter dash, they were running it in like, say like 10 seconds. And 9 seconds seemed like impossible. But due to like people learning more about the sport and how to become faster, people have become faster. Like Usain Bolt runs a 100-yard dash in like 3 seconds. Now, yes, he's probably naturally gifted, but just because he's naturally gifted doesn't mean he didn't work hard to make sure that he's making all these world records and whatever. So, but we are constantly going backwards. So basically what I'm saying is, ever since like we stopped allowing double doubles in level 5, it was because there were a lot of injuries. So instead of focusing on, well, how can we make it safer, we were just like, okay, we'll just stop it all together. And so we're coddling to these people, and we're we're no longer treating worlds as a competitive sport. Like, I was talking to my friend Sarah Lynn, and she said it's called competitive cheerleading. Like, it's not recreational worlds, but that's kind of what it's turning into, because you are taking a really core element out of cheerleading and saying, okay, now you can go be a world champ. Okay, so I'm gonna go to Twitter because there were a lot of different conversations that we were having. And, oh, okay, so somebody tweeted, non-tumbling world's division. It gives those an opportunity who have struggled with mental blocks. Athletes that have had the ability to stunt level 5 without level 5 tumbling. It gives choreographers the opportunity to make cheer even more innovate than it already is. I think the word was supposed to be innovative. Hashtag the positives. Well, I'm going to tell you guys a little story. Vanessa Atler in 1998 was the best gymnast. She was unstoppable. In 2000, when it came time for the Olympics, she suffered like a mental breakdown. I don't remember what competition it was, but she fell on bars, and I don't think she ever hit another bar routine in competition from that moment that she fell. So she had a mental block, or whatever you want to call it. So in 2000, when the Olympic trials came, mind you, she's still considered one of the best gymnasts. She still has a talent. She's amazing. But she didn't do very well at the Olympic trials, even though she came in 6th place, and they took 6 athletes plus 2 alternates. Because of her mental block, guess where Vanessa Atler was during the Olympics? The same place I was, at home. And unfortunately, that's just how it is. Now, people are saying, well, how do we show off these amazing athletes who can stunt but can't tumble? Well, how come we can't have a partner stunt and an all-girls stunting division like they do at college nationals? They've got partner stunting divisions. That shows off stunting. They have all-girl stunt divisions. That shows off stunting without it being about tumbling. It's just about stunting. It's like a minute-long routine, just stunting. I think that's probably the best way to go about it, but that's just my opinion. I was also talking to somebody else. I know she's from overseas. Her name is Louise, and I don't remember where she's from. I'm so sorry. But she was saying, like, the world's championship is supposed to have the best teams in the world, not just in the U.S. For most countries outside of North America, cheerleading isn't traditional, so we didn't get started until recently, and kids don't get into cheerleading early. This is why we lack tumbling. And this is why this is why we need to focus on training outside the U.S., get everyone on board with cheerleading, especially if we want to see it in the Olympics. We can't take it out. It's a lot of hard work. Like, cheerleading didn't just happen overnight. People don't just wake up like, oh, guess what? I know how to do a round off back handspring double. No, it takes years and years and years of hard work. Instead of just like coddling to the rest of the world, we need to show people that we are just like every other sport, because like I mentioned before, there's literally no, like, what other sport continues to go backwards? None. Gymnastics has gotten progressively harder. I remember, and if I can find that video, I'm going to show you. I think it was like the 1978 Olympics or something like that. In the Olympics, homegirl did a front handspring over the vault. That is now like a level 4 skill. So gymnastics got progressively better, but the injuries haven't gotten any worse. So we need to look at what we are doing as a sport, as a whole, to make sure we are progressing. And I know a lot of people are like, well, we're not like gymnastics. We want to be different. Well, we can still be different, but we have to look at what they have done that is successful to make sure that we can eventually get into the Olympics. Where was I going with that? I just have so many things to say, you guys. Another person said, I love the thought of a non-tumbling division because it gives people who would never be on a level 5 team or experience Worlds a chance to get that experience. And somebody said, I want a chance to experience in Olympics. I wish they would create a sport/division that will let me compete there with my non-Olympic skills. I mean, we can compare we can compare sport to sport, but no other sport has been like, you know, we are going to make the World Series for baseball, except for instead of a pitcher pitching 100 miles an hour, you get, because you can't hit the ball because, you know, you're not fast enough or you don't have the hand-eye coordination, we're going to allow you to hit the ball off of a tee. And then you can still call yourself a World Series champion. And I understand it's not fair to everybody who didn't, you know, they weren't blessed with living really, really close to a big name gym, or they weren't born to a family who can afford to do private lessons so that they can get their skills faster or whatever. But unfortunately, like, that's just life. Like, I don't know how else to put it, but we're not teaching our cheerleaders, our athletes, that you just take what life gives you. So my friend Shad, he started cheerleading when he was 14. He wasn't naturally talented at it, but it was something that he enjoyed doing. So he did high school cheer, and he was fine with that. He knew in his heart he was never going to be a world athlete. So what did he do? He learned cheerleading. He became a coach. I'm not saying he's coached a world's team, but he's coached a couple nationals teams. He has all of the information to be able to coach a world's team, you know? So instead of just saying like, well, I'll never be on a level 5 team and I'll never be a world's athlete, that's fine. But if you're really passionate about cheer, then get involved. Go judge, and then maybe one day you'll be able to judge worlds, you know? There's other ways to be able to experience worlds without being a world's athlete. I don't think it's fair that I don't have 1 million subscribers, but instead of just saying like, it's not fair, I'm working hard towards my goal. And if I don't meet my goal, I don't meet my goal, but I don't go out and like, I don't know, buy subscribers, or I don't beg people to subscribe to my channel. I just continue to do what it is that I'm doing, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that I am not consistent, and I know that, and I realize that. But I don't call YouTube and tell them it's not fair. How do I get people to watch me? Like, there's just, life just doesn't always go the way that you want it to. And just because you want the experience doesn't mean you get to have the experience. And that's pretty much like what it boils down to, because if everybody could experience it, it takes the meaning out of it. It takes what the true meaning out of it, because if everybody could go, then it's no longer a prestigious event. You know, like, you can experience NCA, you can experience UCA, you can experience cheer sport, but to experience worlds as a competitor, like, that is an opportunity that you have to create for yourself. I'm sorry this video is all over the place, but my brain is still like trying to understand everything. So what I was saying about earlier about, you know, in order to be like an Olympian in gymnastics, like, you have to be elite on every single event. Like, you can't just be, you know, like level 9 on vault bars beam, but an elite gymnast on floor. Like, you have to be elite on all those different levels. Okay, so when it comes to gymnastics, like the regular program, if you are a level 5 gymnast, you are a level 5 gymnast all around, vault bars beam floor. Then you have to get a certain all-around score to move up to level 6, and then so on and so forth. And it's based on skills. Now let's say a gymnast hits a a mental block on floor. And they're stuck as a level 6 athlete on floor, but they are level 7 on all the other events. They created, I just spit everywhere. They created this program called Excel, which basically means you can be a level 7 here, but a level whatever on all these other events. But you are no longer in the regular like JO program. You are in the Excel program. So if we treated cheerleading like all other sports, where if it's an all-around sport, you have to be good at least at, you know, all these other events. Like if you're a level 5 stunter and you can't at least do a back handspring, and this is just an unpopular opinion, I don't think you should be on a world's floor, because level 5 tumbling is a standing tuck or at least a full. And if you are just unwilling to work, or if you for whatever reason can't, then maybe you need to find another sport, or if there is a non-tumbling division, go into the non-tumbling division, but don't expect to win worlds, because you don't have all like the whole all around what it takes to, you know, for level 5. But that's just my unpopular opinion. So in a nutshell, this is what I think needs to happen. I am not negating the fact that there doesn't need to be a non-tumbling division. I think it's wonderful, especially for international teams. I do not think it belongs at Worlds. I do think that USASF needs to be more transparent, and they need to be able to offer more services, or maybe it's IASF. They need to be able to offer more services to other countries so that they can become more competitive. I also believe that right now the issue isn't that other countries can't do what we can. They're just lacking the resources. So I just feel like if we really want this to become an Olympic sport, we need to make sure that we are teaching other countries and getting them the resources, because, well, that's the only way it's going to happen, because the United States isn't great at everything. So I'm sure that, you know, like in other sports, they're looking at sports from other countries to be like, well, how do we get as good as them? And fun fact, gymnastics never started as an amazing sport in the United States. The Soviet Union had that under wraps. And then Bella Karolyi and Marta Karolyi came over and they changed the game and blah, blah, blah. But that's besides the point. But what I'm saying is, it's possible for other countries to be good at cheerleading. I think that's it. I know I'm not done with my makeup because I spent a lot of time talking. I can't really multitask. But let me know what y'all think. Let me know if what I said makes any type of sense about Worlds needing to stay being a prestigious competition, and that tumbling needs to be a part of Worlds, and that Worlds is not an experience, Worlds is an opportunity. And just let me know what you think. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a positive and love-filled day. Bye.